Assalamu alaikum, Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum, everyone around the world. And today, welcome back again to London Live Ilmi City with Laila Khalid. As you can see, I'm literally sitting for you guys at the Westminster South Bank. मेरे पीछे है Westminster का river और उसके मेरे ख्याल से आस पास क्वीन का भी घर है. Anyway, उम्मीद करती हूँ कि आप सब खैरियत आफियत से होंगे. तो आइए आज का प्रोग्राम शुरू करते हैं. We have to welcome our guest today, who is an award-winning documentary maker, a journalist, and also she is an investigator, and she has gained exceptional experience in making real documentaries on unreported work. So let's welcome Mariam El Marakeshy. Assalamu alaikum, Mariam.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much, Laila, for the great introduction. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me today at Ilmi City. I am very, very happy to have you here. I just want to tell my audience this interview will be in English. So let's start. Mariam, I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, actually, I'm an Egyptian filmmaker and multimedia reporter from Turkish and Moroccan roots. I'm based currently in Cairo. I've been working for the past 10 years in the field of filmmaking and storytelling, covering issues like migration, human stories, cultural integration, as well as some travel documentaries and investigative reports. Previously, I've been working for the United Nations for several years in the development sector. I also work as a cross-cultural facilitator. I facilitate dialogue between the East and the West to eliminate any stereotypes and promote for peace. That's mostly what I'm doing.
That is amazing. So much you do. Mashallah, mashallah. It's really good. As we are talking before, that it's very, very hard to see a Muslim documentary maker and to go into the risky world and make those documentary, produce them and show to the world. So let's talk about your documentary Transit. Because I was looking at the Transit. What is Transit is all about?
Actually, I've been making documentaries about migration and refugee crisis for a while, and then I decided to dive deeper into the tragedy of the refugee crisis. I was inspired by the story of the little kid, Alan Kurdi, in the little kid who was found dead on the Turkish shore with a red t-shirt, the photo that was very heartbreaking. I started to investigate what happened to him and the journey that he and his family has taken from Turkey to Greece.
Yeah.
So in this documentary, I wanted to investigate the illegal routes and the illegal journeys that the refugees take from their home countries, passing through Turkey and then through the sea and then to Greece and then to Europe. In this documentary, I revealed the illegal smuggling networks in Turkey. And also I revealed the Moria camp, the largest European refugee camp in Greece, which was supposed to be a transit stop for refugees, but unfortunately they are stuck there for indefinite period of time. The film investigates the whole tragedy and the stories of those refugees.
Wow, this is amazing. Mariam, making a documentary is a very, very difficult process. How do you make documentaries? How do you create it? Where do you get all the information? Do you get the information first and then you start building up the story and then go and film it?
Actually, making documentaries is very challenging, or any kind of nonfiction, because you are actually capturing the real life and real stories. It's not like fiction when you sit and you write your own story. So usually documentary, the most important phase is collecting information and research phase. That's when you have to investigate and get in contact with so many people. I got in contact, like you can say, with 50 stories, where I picked up like 5 only at the end. So the research phase is the longest and most difficult phase. And then you go into the field. That's the production phase, which is the most difficult one, where you get into interviews and you get into challenges on the field. And then you return back and then you go for the post-production, which is the editing, which is also a very difficult phase in the documentary because you always face surprises in the field, which you can also deal with in the editing. And then the publishing and the impact, which is the most important thing out of documentaries.
Don't you get scared? Don't you get scared? And don't you feel that, oh, there's a high risk for me to produce this documentary? Who I'm going to meet now? How people's going to react?
Yeah. Actually, the risk is a very important part of any documentary because you are going to real situations. So there are things which are unexpected. But I say that the good documentary filmmaker has to plan
Yeah.
his shooting, has to plan everything in advance. Even if there is risk, which is likely, you have to also calculate it and try to imagine it and plan it in advance. So when you plan, being scared or being fearful will be less likely because you are ready for that. Sometimes I face challenges, of course, in the field, like in transit. I had to face police officers and to hide in camp in tents or to get
Wow.
above the mountains. Or yeah, it was really really risky. But because I was ready for that from the start and I had a message, so I just did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you have to prepare yourself, you have to, sorry, prepare your mind for this before you take a step, because so many people wants to make documentary. I'm sure we have so much talent in Pakistan, and there are so many upcoming journalists, and of course they want to make documentaries, short documentaries, and probably on a big level documentaries. What do you have? How would you tell them what advice would you give them to make a documentary, to go into this industry? What is the fundamental factor for that?
Okay, the fundamental factor is the first thing is to be a good researcher. You have to have patience and to spend lots of time on your research to research different angles, different characters, different points, and also to be prepared for risk, to be prepared for surprises, and to be authentic and have integrity because now we have a kind of media crisis where everyone or most many
Hmm.
journalists like copying and pasting or just using archive footage. It's very important to go to the
Yeah.
field and get authentic stories to meet the people. And also, there is an important thing: do not treat the people like subjects. These are people; they have feelings. You have to respect them. You have to deal with them as persons. So when you build trust with your characters, you will be able to get your story right.
This is a
Mm.
very good point you just mentioned, that do not treat a people as a subject. You have to treat them as what they are, because they have feelings, they have the fear, and you actually trying to dig the emotionals as well, which comes
Mm.
out in the writing story, and then it goes on the screen as well.
Mm.
Mariam, there are different kind of elements making a documentary. Some people makes documentaries about animal world, or some kind of people but different culture and this. What is your main theme about your documentary?
Okay, my main theme is human stories. I'm very, very interested in people and their stories. I believe that every person has a story to tell and has a struggle to tell. And so I prefer the human ones, the human stories. But also, I'm interested in cultural heritage. I'm very interested in anything that brings peace and cultural understanding and
Yeah.
cultural integration. So you can say that my theme is humanitarian topics and also cultures.
You have made some documentaries, and which one is your favorite? I mean, come on, everyone's got their favorite film, director, producer. They pick up one favorite film. which,
Yeah.
which one really inspire you, that you really enjoy making it, and production was extremely good as well? Which one is your favorite?
To be honest, I would say Transit is my favorite because it's very, very deep. It's very, very sophisticated, and it involved lots of feeling, lots of emotions on all levels. Despite of the struggles and the risks, I think that this film was like a masterpiece for me as a filmmaking. I learned a lot, even on the personal level, and the impact that this film has achieved went
Hmm.
beyond my expectations. So I would say Transit, but also Misafer on the other side, Misafer, a guest for me, it's very close to my heart. In one thing is
Mm-hmm.
that it brings more of a cultural understanding and a positive portrayal of migrants.
Yeah.
So I also it has a certain special place in my heart as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Mashallah, mashallah. As we were talking before, and I like audience to actually come into this conversation as well. You can write your questions here. Me and Mariam, sister, were talking about Muslim women and journalism. How
Yeah.
difficult was it for you as a Muslim, powerful woman into journalism, making documentaries, investigating?
Mm. The first difficulty is being a woman. Let's
Hmm.
be true here that being a woman in this male dominated industry is really tough. I have faced a lots of challenges and sexist comments, for example, like you are too fragile to be a journalist or a filmmaker. This isn't your place. You should be home. This kind of sexism.
Yeah.
Also, being a Muslim and from underrepresented communities coming from the Middle East, this is another challenge. Like you have to face racial discrimination. Unfortunately, racist comments. I remember
Hmm.
when I was making Transit, I've been hearing comments like, "Why you are making a film about a bunch of Arabs complaining?" These kind of
Hmm.
things. You can face discrimination
Yeah.
in terms of promotions, in terms of publicity,
Yeah, of
I
course.
remember also a very hard incident,
Hmm.
which also shaped my idea on how this career is really
Hmm.
tough for me. When my reporting from a hostile environment was published under a name of a male colleague, just because he's a male and I'm a female, and I got
Oh,
threatened. Yeah, and I got threatened when I complained. I got threatened to be silent. That I have to accept this. So this is when I knew that this career, or we are suffering from a crisis in the media industry and
yeah.
journalism, and this made me more stronger, that I have to prove myself and I have to say that I'm a woman, I'm a hijabi, I'm a Muslim, I'm an Arab,
Yeah.
but I'm still here, I'm successful, and I can do it. So
Mashallah, subhanallah. It's so nice to hear this story from you, that how positive and how motivated you are, that you didn't care about anything, you just kept going on and on. Mariam, of course, when we make documentary, we work around team as well. How do you collaborate with your team? And the main thing is trust, because people, film can leak. People can put their name of your hard work and say, "Oh, I made that," because there's no signature, there's no paperwork yet.
yeah.
So, how do you
Um,
trust your team?
Yeah, I think you have to talk. You talk now about two important points. First is the teamwork, and the second is the copyrights and how to protect my rights. Regarding teamwork, of course, it's very important, not just in documentary filmmaking, any
Yeah.
kind of profession, but in documentary, it's very important because you go to the field, you face risks, you face challenges, so you have to trust your team and you have to prepare them
Mm-hmm.
very well before going to the field on what they are going to see, and they have to keep the privacy of the information. Also,
Yeah.
it's important to protect your team's safety and security. You are responsible for them. You are the director. You are also responsible for the safety of your crew. Usually in my documentaries, I don't use a big team. It's like one or two persons. Sometimes I'm involved in
Yeah.
every stage, like in editing and shooting. That's the case of any documentary filmmaker. Regarding copyrights and protecting my rights, I always advise filmmakers, and after the tough incidents that I faced, which is copyright violations, that you have to maintain documents, signed
Yeah.
forms. You have to have everything written by email. You have to keep your signature, all those kinds of things, especially if you are a
Yeah.
woman. If you are a woman, that would be very important.
That
Yeah,
this is absolutely right when you said about the team, that small circle is the best circle when you're
yeah,
making sensitive filming about
exactly.
unreported world. I call it unreported world because
Yeah,
I think we need to focus on these unseen worlds and try to show more to the people, which I think
yeah.
you are doing amazing job. Mariam, tell us a little experience when you were, I think you have worked in USA as a
Um,
journalist. Is that
No, I
right?
didn't. No, I didn't work in USA like physically, but I work remotely as a cross-cultural facilitator,
Mm-hmm.
facilitating communication between US and Central Asian journalists and promoting, combined projects between the two worlds. And also I work as a judge or a
Oh,
pre-selection
wow.
committee member, yeah, for film festivals like Social Impact Media Awards. I'm a pre-selection committee member. I also work as an educator for filmmaking courses. And transit, by the way, is included in
Yeah,
the curriculum of some educational courses like impact media courses on migration reporting. But I
that's
didn't work physically in the US.
all right. Okay. But I think you do some workshops. Is that in Cairo? You do the workshops about the
I
journalism?
did it in Turkey and remotely in the US, in Europe, whatever. But I did it physically in Turkey and in Egypt. And I also, as you
Yeah.
said, as you saw, like my reportings are mainly not in Egypt and not in the Middle East. They are mainly in Europe, in Africa, in Turkey, in even in Asia as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I myself is a journalist, and well, I'm a
yeah,
trainee journalist, and alhamdulillah, I am actually getting where I wanted to be. My family gets really upset when they say, "Oh, why are you choosing journalism? We don't want to lose you that quickly, Layla." You have to be alive. Choose something else. But I love production and journalism side. As I said, I am passionate about documentary. How about your family? Don't they get scared?
Yeah, actually, I didn't say that I was working in international public financial management, and then I decided to switch career to journalism and filmmaking. So this decision was very hard on them. Like, why you are seeking trouble? It's known to be the career of troubles, and they are very worried about me. And they always gave me advices like, don't go to these hostile environments. Try to stay away from humanitarian crisis stories. But at the end of the day, I do what I'm believing in and what I feel that could make an impact. But at the same time, it's very important to be responsible to
Yeah.
also take care of yourself and your security, because also it's important to take their advices into consideration.
You are absolutely right because journalism is actually calling a trouble. We
Yeah,
actually calling a trouble, but then you have to be careful what you write. And but
yeah,
I think you are actually giving a very positive message to all the Muslim community around the world about your documentaries, about your work, which is really really good. It's very healthy for
yeah,
us to know different kind of documentaries as well, instead of wasting our time watching films which has no meaning, to be honest, like a fantasy world, fairy world we are living in. But I love, I'm sure many audience will love the documentaries as well. Mariam, apart from everything else, your journalism, documentaries, and all this production, all sort of, mashallah, subhanallah, so much work you have done. How do you spare your time? Do you have free time? Do you have free time for yourself, or you
sometimes.
always working?
Yeah, actually, one of the downsides of being a journalist or a filmmaker that you are always involved into research, into trying to pick up
Yeah.
stories, into following media and news. And so, yeah, having a free time is a challenge. But usually in my free time, I love arts, I love drawing, I love music, I love doing meditations. It's very important to release this stress because we are very affected. Our mental health is very affected from this career. So it's very important to
Mm.
take care of our psychology and mental health. So yeah, I try to do my hobbies in my free time and follow other filmmakers' works and watch their films.
That's good.
Uh,
So I can tell my audience that if you are a journalist, if you are stepping into journalism for your mental health, do arts. I think color is supposed to be very good for your mental health as well. Drawing and looking at the colors, even walking outside, looking at the beautiful London at the back, where the lights are actually dimming, so people might see me very dark.
yeah.
Mariam, do you travel a lot? Do you travel a lot, like making documentaries? Do you get
Uh,
recognized?
yeah, actually, I travel for my work, for my documentaries, because as you see, my documentaries, I'm not restricted to a certain region. I try to focus on every single part of the world because I believe in
Mm.
cultural communication is very important. You have to focus on underrepresented cultures. That's the message from my work. I am also a passionate traveler. I love traveling. I like exploring. I love exploring. And even in my own country, I travel a lot. And whenever I have a chance to explore a country, I go. I have a certain, like a personal blog when I post my photos and photos of the places I go to. So, yeah, I'm also a passionate traveler.
That is amazing. Mariam, I wanted to ask you a question. Well, that's my typical question I ask all my guests. We all love food. What's the speciality in Cairo, right?
Sorry?
One,
In
Cairo, right? You are in Cairo
Cairo.
right
Yeah,
now.
in
Yeah.
Cairo,
What
yes.
What is the main speciality of Cairo food? One food, please.
Okay.
Like we
We
have
have,
something one, and then all the different foods.
yeah. In Cairo, street food is very popular, but one thing, it's called koshari. I don't know if it's
Kosheri.
available. Yeah, it's like a mix of, different things, and they are all
Oh
mixed
wow.
together. Yeah, and
You mean
if you
meat?
Google it, no, it's
Meat?
like
Or
pasta and rice and vegetables and hummus and lots of things. It's very famous if you come to Egypt, and I think Egyptian restaurants around the world they are doing it as well. If you Google it, you can find it. But
oh
I'm not a
wow.
very big fan, despite I'm an Egyptian, but I'm not a very big
Yeah,
fan. It's very, very heavy. Yeah,
very heavy. So if I eat
yeah,
in the morning, probably I will be full for 2 days.
yeah, exactly.
I'm already feeling hungry.
Yeah.
Mariam, journalism news is a very different subject, very different topic from the production and making documentaries.
Hmm.
In We have to follow the journalism law as well before we write any news. Do you do you do you have any experience in your lifetime when you were writing a news and you were stopped not to write this news, not to even publish this news?
Hmm. I think because I'm not a news reporter, to be honest. Like, I'm storyteller, so I didn't face this a lot, but I face it editorially in making my documentaries. For example, when I was making Transit and I was bringing up the issue of illegal smugglers in Turkey, and it turned out that there are lots of Turks who are also working in illegal smuggling. It's not just foreigners. So I was facing an editorial challenge on how to convince the broadcaster, who are also Turks, that there are Turks working in illegal smuggling. But I
Yeah,
forced my idea, and we were negotiating about it, and then I forced it, and it appeared in the film because I have to show the truth. There,
yeah,
in every country there are good people and there are bad people. That's the truth. So at the end of the day, it was published. So it's like things like that, which might be you have to receive comments on your
yeah,
films, like, yes, which you can deal with or insist on depending on how you
yeah.
believe in. Yeah.
Some people do not like the negative remarks on their post blogs or documentaries, and they say, oh man, I don't want to
Mm,
do it because I am probably not good enough to do that. How What would you say to our audience about this, that when people, because people talks, people will
mm,
always talk whether you do good
yeah.
or bad. What would you say to our audience who actually writes articles or makes short films, short documentaries, and also probably small one news?
Mm. Actually, you have to be authentic to the audience because the audience are smart. Don't treat your audience like they are not smart. Audience now with the social media and all of the internet connections, they can search for the real
Yeah,
information. So be authentic, have integrity, and show the truth. And but it's also important to check the laws in your country because it's also important to check about your safety. It's not good to be bullied online or to be arrested, or you have also to check the laws and to protect your security and safety, but try to be authentic and show the real thing because the audience are very smart and they can distinguish between what's real and
yeah,
what's fake. Yeah.
you
And
are
for
so right.
example, yeah, I can also mention something about transit because I'm criticizing Greece because of the misery in Moria camp, which is in Greece. So some Greeks commented on transit that this video has to be blocked and you are showing Greece in a bad situation. I told them that's the truth. If you
Yeah,
want this to be changed, then change the truth. I can't change it. That's what we found, and we have to report it as journalists. So sometimes you have to do it regardless of the opinions. As you said, people will comment anyway. If you just follow people's comments or your life and please people, you won't achieve anything.
yeah.
Mm.
I was told, I don't want to mention the channel name, which I'm actually going to work. I'm working like once a day, and it's a English broadcast famous channel in UK, not Islam channel. And one of the production team said to me, Laila, what is the biggest mistake a Pakistani journalist do? And I came home and I'm like, what they do? So I started doing research. I went through my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and also articles. And the biggest mistake they do, that they make Pakistan really scary in front of the
Mm.
whole world. And to be really
Yeah.
honest, people are so scared to step into Pakistan. And Pakistan, mashallah, is a beautiful country. We have very talented people. We have the hospitality is 10 out of 10, and it's beautiful. People are so nice. They will meet you very friendly as well. And so that was the answer that I actually told my production team at the TV channel, and they said that was the right answer because they've been to Pakistan and interview or probably make small documentaries to show to the audience. When we talk
Yeah.
about the different countries, like you were saying, that Greece said that, oh, do not show this video. How did you feel? Were you scared
No,
that,
actually, it's
oh my
not
God, they're saying
Greece.
that do not show the video, do not show your
Yeah.
documentary?
No, it's not Greece as a whole country. Just some Greek people commented on the video. No, I wasn't scared because there were also Greeks who supported me. And even if you see the film, there is a Greek person who appeared in the film and who was criticizing the situation. So there are always fair people who know the truth and who want to spread it regardless of their nationality. So I wasn't scared. And if I will be scared, I won't go and shoot any documentary because
That's true.
usually, yeah, usually you will have negative comments. Regarding your subject, when you said that people are always promoting for negative information on the media, like distorting the picture of a country, also that's not right. You
Yeah.
have to balance. You have to show the negatives and also the positives. So also that's not a right thing to do.
You are right, and this is when we want to show the world the positive and negative views about the countries all around the world, not only Pakistan, Cairo, or Arabs or Pakistani. We all This is where the journalism comes. Without us,
Yes.
they will not know anything what's going on in the world. They would just believe the TV because I think the world controls the journalism and no, the politician controls the media and media control the world. Are you agreed with me, Mariam? The high
Unfortunately, I,
class
yeah.
politicians control us and we control the world. Whatever we write, people will believe it, whether it's wrong or right. Are you agreed with me?
Unfortunately, I agree to a great extent with this, and this puts a great responsibility on us because whatever word you will write or show on video, people are going to believe it or be affected by it. So you have a great responsibility and you have to put yourself
Yeah.
in charge. So it's a positive thing and a negative thing at the same time. Yeah.
Mariam, with all the thing you do, journalism and production, directing, producing documentaries, all these unreal, real world documentaries, when you look back, when you started, how do you feel when you started first time, when you stepped your first step on the ladder?
Yeah.
When you look back,
Actually,
how do you feel?
I feel that I've never imagined to achieve this, to be honest. When I started this, it was my hobby and I was just testing the water. Like I
Yeah,
started to make small films, but when my first film got an award from Germany, I decided to follow my passion full time and enter into this field. And I didn't imagine that I would achieve this great impact and this great, social change, like what the films did in the perceptions of the people. So I feel like, Alhamdulillah, it's God's blessing, and it's
yeah.
also a responsibility that whenever you are achieving an impact, you have also to look to what's coming next, and you have to be very careful about what you are presenting to the people.
Exactly. How long it takes you to make a documentary?
Usually, minimum from 4 to 6 months, and it could take
Hmm.
longer than that. It depends on the documentary. But for example, for Transit, it took 6 months. Usually, the longer the better, to be honest, to take more time in your research and your editing. In Transit, I was very stressed and burnt out in editing and shooting. I had
Yeah.
because I had a deadline, but I feel that whenever you give yourself a longer time, you will have better opportunity for research and editing as well.
I'm sure there are many of our audience, if they are watching us, they probably want to make like short films, short documentaries to submit into media if they can get a job. Which is the best camera, not very expensive, they can use
Mm.
for the beginning?
Okay, actually, I say that it's not about the equipment, it's about the person who is behind the equipment. So some people now are making films using mobile phones. In transit, I used high-end cameras like Sony A7S, like Canon, but also I used the iPhone and the mobile in some shots, and you can't recognize it, you know. So you can use any camera as long as the quality is full
Yeah,
HD, full HD, good quality, acceptable quality. You can shoot any story. The important thing is the content and the story and
yeah,
your vision. Your vision is very important, more important than the equipment.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When we talk about the equipment,
Mm.
camera, camera, also software, do you use a special software in order to edit your documentary afterwards?
Yeah, I prefer Adobe, Adobe Premiere, Adobe Audition, and Adobe, all Adobe applications because they are very integrated and they are very suitable to my work. Sometimes I use Final Cut, but I prefer Adobe at the moment.
Do you feel peace like afterwards? You when people say when people loves your work and when you receive a award, you must be feeling like peaceful. You must be feeling very proud about yourself.
Yeah, but it's of course a source of pleasure and a source of pride, but it's also a source of responsibility because you think uh, first you think it's good that your work has achieved this impact. It's an opportunity
Yeah.
that more people are going to see the work, which means the message is going to be delivered more. But also it's a responsibility that you have to always maintain this level and always to do things on the same quality and to maintain the impact. So it's a source of pride and a source of responsibility as well.
I am very emotional person. If somebody says, "Oh wow, Laila, you won this," "Oh Laila, wow, your work is
Yeah,
brilliant," and I start crying like a baby. How
yeah, it
did you
happens.
feel?
Yeah, it happens because
How,
I'll tell you why. Because of the challenges you face, the discriminations or the tough moments that you face while making your works, and then you achieve an award, you feel like it's like a validation for what you have
hmm.
done. You proved that you can do something, and also it means that the stories of those people was worthy to be delivered. So you have also done them a good thing that you have delivered their voices. So yeah, it's a very emotional moment. You can't deny it.
Did you cry?
Yes,
Did you?
to be honest.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
that's just a
you
human
shouldn't be
nature.
ashamed of this. Yeah, exactly. You shouldn't be ashamed of this. It's a tears of success. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm like, oh, but then what I do, I actually put it on the social media. Oh my God, I'm crying, and this is what happens. Not all one knows what I'm doing. Mariam, when
Yeah.
we like we were talking before about the media industry, and as we talked before about them being a Muslim woman as a journalist and documentary filmmaker, and you mentioned that Layla, unfortunately, is a male-dominant world. How would you express this male dominant world in the media industry?
You mean to describe it more?
Yes,
What
please. Yeah, if you can describe me.
Yeah, male-dominated world, which means that males have more opportunities in this industry, like
Mm,
whenever there is a comparison between you and a male for to apply for a position or for
yeah,
pitching or being on camera, mostly the male will be selected. And also, as I told you, the case when my reporting was published unethically under a male colleague's name, just because I'm a female and I can't stand out for my
mm,
rights. That's what they thought. Also, your usually the senior positions or your managers, usually you can find it males, but I think that is changing now.
mm.
Things are changing, people are speaking up, and also there is another issue, which is the harassment. This is very
Oh
important.
yes,
Even
this
yeah,
this is like an ongoing
exactly.
issue in the
In the
whether it's a
media.
media industry or anywhere, but this is an ongoing issue about the harassment.
Yeah, but in the media, it's more prominent because as I told you, it's male dominated. So when a woman wants a chance or an opportunity, some males can make use of this. And also, you can find the Me Too movement, which was about the harassment in the media.
Yeah,
So it's another male dominated thing as well.
but
So
when
yeah,
we talk, Maya, sorry, I have to cut you here. When we talk about male dominant, but they are women as well. They
yeah,
actually harass each other. Like I had a
yeah,
complaint
exactly.
today to Ilmi City. I was talking to my team member Aisha, and I said to her, I don't want to mention that person name, and she's a lady. And every time when I do show, she or he has a very diplomatic, very sarcastic comments. So it's like,
Yeah,
female is degrading the other female instead of
yeah.
telling her that, oh, wow, you're doing very well. We have to encourage each other and that, yes, we are doing very well because women always looked below than men, whether you are Muslim, non Muslim, wherever in the world.
That's another issue, actually. I call it this is the emotional harassment or mobbing or bullying.
Hmm.
That's existent in the field in this career a lot, actually, and it's available in many workplaces, unfortunately. But people are starting to speak up, as your colleague told you, and people are making hashtags on Twitter. So the good thing about this that there is a positive movement that people are starting to speak up, as I'm speaking up now. So at least there's a hope that this will change. Yeah,
Exactly. And this awareness has came through news, journalism, through journalists, through journalism, through us. So they have to actually appreciate us. Otherwise, if they say journalism is dying,
yeah,
journalism is not dying. Otherwise, there will be no awareness around this world, what we have to pick up and what we have to drop it. So when we talk about bullying and harassment, can you please tell my beautiful audience in Pakistan and around the world who are watching us on Ilmi City how to behave during this time when someone is bullying you and harassing you? Because
mm,
people gave up. People just gave
yeah,
up their career, their
yeah,
future plan because, oh, this person is bullying me, and they feel very down, isolated from their career, from their field. So I want
yeah.
you to give me a beautiful message to our audience about this.
Yeah, to be honest, there is a stigma about talking about harassment or bullying or mobbing. You will be labeled as a troublemaker. You will be labeled as you are the source of the problem, and people are afraid to lose their careers or to lose their next job opportunities. So that's the most important problem, that people don't speak up. So they allow that bully to
Yeah,
continue. So the first thing is to speak up, don't be silent, and to acknowledge what's happening, to frame it right, that this is bullying, this is unacceptable. I should put a limit, to set your
exactly.
boundaries, and to try to speak up to your managers, your HR, whatever people in charge. If this doesn't get a solution, you have to think of other solutions, but don't just be silent, afraid of the stigma or being labeled. The most important advice is don't make this affect your mental health, because we
Hmm.
keep these things inside. And I've been through this actually lots of
Yeah,
the time, and it affected my mental health, my psychological well-being. I've been suffering from depression, suffering from emotional harm. So it's my advice is to try to get it out, to speak about it, to care about yourself.
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
yeah, to set boundaries. It's very important. No one can harass you or bully you just because you are their subordinate, or just because you are a female, or because you are an Arab or Pakistani or whatever.
Hmm.
You have to stand up for yourself and your dignity. That's very important.
We should be
Yeah,
very proud anyway, being a Pakistani Arab, because we have
yeah,
developed so much in this industry, and
yeah.
everyone is working around the world, and non-Muslims are actually hiring us because of our work and probably the knowledge we have. Sometimes they pick up the people from different countries because we have the wide knowledge about our culture. Mariam, we are talking so much about journalism, broadcasting, and documentary making. Do you have any other, how can I put that into words? Do you have any other spare time to do, like hobby? Do you have any other hobby apart from, let's put everything on one side. Any favorite hobby? Not
uh,
eating, please.
yeah,
We know.
no, it's not easy. I love art. I love visual arts. I love photography. I love drawing. I love piano. I play piano sometimes.
Oh,
I
wow.
love, yeah, I love meditation. I love walking and going to the nature, traveling, exploring. I love archaeology, going to historical places, old buildings, old cities, old alleys. Um, that's when I have a spare time. So yeah,
This
and
is
I
so,
think
it's,
also
yeah.
a media person is very it's very important for a media person to have lots of interests, because this
Hmm.
strengthens your content. It strengthens how you see stories. So it's important to have other things as well.
When we talk about the research thing, like you have to do intense research before you actually produce your work. How do you research? Do you research through internet, or do you also talk to people as well in order to get the right information?
Yeah. There are two types of research. There is an online research through the internet, through archives, through news channels, through
Yeah,
libraries and books. And also
yeah,
there is the field research, when you go into the field and you talk to people face to
yeah.
face. And I think that this also is very effective, because when you talk to the people, it's different from just gathering information online. So these are the two types of research that you can do. Yeah.
Very nice, beautiful, mashallah, really nice. I'm really enjoying the doing interview with you, but unfortunately, we
Thank you.
don't have much time. I would like you
Yeah,
to
of
give
course.
a beautiful message to our audience.
I want to say that always stick to your true self, have integrity, be authentic whatever you are working in. Try to stick to your message. Don't be afraid of showing your identity and being your true self. And also try to follow whatever your passion is. Don't be afraid. Try to follow it, but also try to calculate the risks and be ready for that.
Mashallah, beautiful, beautiful. What a beautiful message to our audience. Mariam, again, thank you very, very much for joining me
Thank
today at
you.
London Live Ilmi City. And thank you from Ilmi City team as well. And thank you so much for our audience who watched us today. From me, Laila Khalid, I will inshallah see you next week. By then, it's very, very cold. Sardi ho rahi hai, to meri taraf se khuda hafiz.
Bye.